What's up, everyone? Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm your host, Ryan Cramer, and this is Crossover Commerce, presented by Pingpong Payments, the leading global payments provider helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money. What's up, everyone? I'm your host, Ryan Cramer, and welcome to episode 76 of Crossover Commerce, presented by Pingpong Payments. Hope you all like that new intro that we created today. So shout out to my teammates for putting together that awesome new introduction. But if you are new to this show, welcome. This is Crossover Commerce. We love having different experts in the Amazon and e-commerce space on the show. Today is no different. But quickly before we get into things, about Pingpong Payments, we provide marketplace sellers and entrepreneurs global solutions for controlling their domestic and international funds. An account with us enables companies to significantly reduce their costs when receiving or making international payments all in one platform that helps increase operational efficiencies, saves you time, and allows sellers to manage their business profits in one single source. For more information, feel free to check out that link below. More than happy to educate you on who Pingpong is, what we do, and you can also save money if you're an international or e-commerce seller. That being said, I'm really excited today. If you're watching us live, thank you for watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We appreciate that. Make sure that you go ahead and like, share, and follow this episode. We want everyone to be aware of all the great insights and tips and tricks that we can bring to the Amazon e-commerce space. But if you aren't watching this live and you happen to catch us later on, thanks for watching us. We appreciate you, Team Replay. But go ahead and share and tell us what you think below. Because this is live and because we do this show with our guests in the Amazon e-commerce space, we love asking questions. So if you're in the audience, you're listening, and you just have some point of clarification you want to be answered, or you have a question, or you just want to say hi, feel free to do that in the comments in the social media posts below, and then we will be able to see those, throw them up on screen, and make sure that we give you a shout out as well. But if you do watch this later on or listen to this later on, you can find us on Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, not Shopify, Spotify, Google, or wherever truly you can download a podcast. That's where we will be as well. But because it's live, again, we will keep things rolling. So tell us what you're thinking below and share and ask your questions. But about our guest today, he is an Amazon seller. He's also a YouTube personality, has his tips and tricks that he shares with all sorts of different guests and people himself, being successful on Amazon, all the way from conception, product sourcing, to product ideation, all the way to potentially, hopefully he will exit his business down the road. We'll ask him here on our show. And then, but he is, the YouTube channel itself is called Sourcing Monster. So welcome to Crossover Commerce, Tomer David of Sourcing Monster. Tomer, what is going on, man? How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Man, it's been a day. It's already midway through the week, and I swear, like, there's so much stuff, like, beginning on the East Coast. You're on the East Coast, right? You're in Florida?
Yes.
So I swear, like, I wake up to like 100 different messages and different texts because e-commerce doesn't sleep, right? It's people are answering you from all over the world. So it's a beautiful thing, but my gosh, when you wake up, it's go time.
Yeah, and I like the new intro. I really like it. So it's
thanks, man. I saw it yesterday. Literally just downloaded it, and I'm like, well, we're gonna find out what it looks like right now.
Yeah, it looks very professional.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So yeah, thanks for coming to the show. So for people who are listening to this, or maybe don't know maybe about you or haven't checked out your YouTube page, who's Tomer David? Like how'd you get where you are today?
So first of all, thank you for having me in the show. Really appreciate it. I do watch your show and some of the other guests that you had here, and I'm trying to really, take action from every video that you publish. So you're a great help and support to the community. As far as myself, yeah, of course. So as far as myself, I'm Tomer. I'm originally from Israel. I moved to the States 8 years ago. Been in New Jersey because we had a family business, a factory for diamond jewelry, e-commerce business where we made the orders directly from the factory to the customer. And it was great experience. I learned so many things about manufacturing, about online marketing, and really about business in general. And after doing this for a while, I decided that it's just too much for me, as far as it's very demanding business. You have to manage people, you have to really be responsible for, a very expensive inventory. You have to be there pretty much every day. You can't just leave for a vacation just like that. So it was very demanding, and I really wanted to make a change. Making money online or selling stuff online wasn't new to me, so jumped right to Amazon after like a month of research on where to focus. It was really hard choice to choose whether to do like affiliate marketing to Amazon FBA, because I do have background with SEO. So for me, doing the affiliate marketing was something that I wasn't sure whether to do Amazon or this. At the end of the day, I decided to go with Amazon because I felt you can grow it really fast without investing too much money, and that was true. Selling for the last 2.5 years, and also started my YouTube channel where I share back and give back to the community pretty much.
Yeah, man. So where'd the name Sourcing Monster come from? Like, I'm curious.
So I made a list of names, and my style and the way that I operate the business is really like with very aggressive growth, and I felt really good connection with like sourcing, which is sourcing products from China, and monster, like doing it like a monster. That's
Oh,
how I
hey,
got
that's
to
all
that.
it takes, right? It's just like a couple phrases together, and then you got yourself a brand all of a sudden. So I love it. That's really cool. A brand in terms of that capacity. You have a background, so you kind of mentioned this even to me when we were talking beforehand in the diamond industry. What was that? So like, what did you do specifically in that industry, and what was like that process like? Because I personally don't know too many people who get it. I know like the retail stores, but you're talking about selling diamonds online, correct? Is that
Yeah.
is that a fair assumption? Awesome. What
Yes.
what was that like?
So it's mainly, sorry, mainly selling like diamond jewelry, not just loose diamonds. Some people
Right.
would buy loose diamonds, but mainly selling diamonds directly to customers in the form of like a jewelry, rings, pendants, earrings, bracelets, everything that you can put diamonds on. And how I got into this is through my brother. He do this business for 22 years now, and I was visiting him when I was 17 years old. I came from Israel just to a visit in New York, and I was seeing what he was doing. And I told him, "Look, I really want to do it. You have to help me and get me into this." And after a couple of years, I started to work from Israel. We had an office in Israel and in New York, in the Diamond Exchange. And started to learn the business. I did gemological like course. So I'm a gemologist. So started to understand about gems, about diamonds, about stones, and through there just got into the business pretty much.
So what was the most fascinating thing about working in that industry? It's just unique. You said gemologist. So what does that take in order to become a gemologist?
So basically, you do a course, so you understand, about stones, about mining, about how they're being made diamonds, how to grade them, how to really look at a diamond and know what is the quality of it, because you have so many different qualities. Most of the diamonds are industrial, not really diamonds that you can wear. These days, there is a completely new trend in the last few years that there are those lab created diamonds, which are the same material. It's the same thing. It just that it grows in a lab in 2 weeks instead of millions years, nature and naturally.
So diamonds, like, this is pretty ignorant. I mean, diamonds grow. I thought it was just compressed. Is it compressed? How do you grow a diamond? I guess. What's that
So,
like?
so
This is
yeah,
me fascinating. So I think other people listening to this will be like, "You growing a diamond? Tell me more."
yeah. So basically, there are specific labs that they invented a new technology. It's not really new, but in the last few years, it got cheaper, the technology. So instead of diamonds are produced like in a very high pressure in nature. So instead of like waiting for that to be happening naturally, they just put layers of like carbon. I don't know exactly how the technology works. Otherwise, I will just grow them here in my office.
Just yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it's basically they have like layers of carbon, and they just grow them like in layers, and it's the same process like they grow in nature. And this
Hmm.
process now takes like 2 weeks, and you can get like beautiful diamonds for like, fraction of the price of the natural ones. I specifically don't like the natural the lab created diamonds, because at the end of the day, people, why they buy jewelry and buy diamonds and propose with engagement ring with a real diamond? Because there is sentimental value to it, something that, if you grow it in a lab, why don't you just buy like synthetic stone as well? It's the same thing. So for me, personally, I think that the natural thing is the best, but it's becoming very popular because, at the end of the
Interesting.
day, the same diamond, you will give me a lab created diamond comparing a real diamond, I cannot really tell what's like which one is the natural one, because
So
it's the same thing.
should people actually fear if like that's a thing? Like if you go to a
Yeah.
jewelry store and like, hey, what's the difference between a lab created one that they did there or something that, obviously mining from the earth? Well, like how do people tell?
So they can't. So the stores, they have to ask the right questions. So first of all, if they buy a diamond, to make sure that there is a certificate or appraisal, something that really a lab or someone behind it certified that it's a real diamond. And if it's a lab created diamond, they must disclose that it's a lab created, and if not, then like they're in trouble.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
is that a trend that you see like growing forward, or I say growing forward, going forward? Man, pun on words, and I didn't even mean to do that. Going forward, is that something that a lot more people are going to do for cost effective reasons, or just
Yes.
because you can, I'm assuming at some point you will run out of diamonds naturally out of the earth,
Not
right?
really.
Not
No, there are
really.
so
Okay.
many. It's been so basically in Russia they have like millions of diamonds. You just keep it there to keep the value.
Hmm.
So as far as natural diamonds, even though it's rare, it's not that rare. They have like so
Gotcha.
many of them. But it takes a lot of money to mine them. So that's why they are so expensive. As far as the lab created, it's a couple of good years, maybe 2 or 3 years already, that it's becoming very much popular than before, and it takes a lot of market share from the natural diamond.
Interesting. So is that something that you'll see like what's the e-commerce landscape for buying jewelry like that? Is it very popular, or do you feel that people would rather go into a store, touch it, feel it, see it themselves? Because for me, when I was picking my engagement ring for my wife, I was like, I really like, you would hear all these commercials like, oh, they're sourced and they're loose diamonds and you can create your own online and things like that. And there's something about that, but then there's also the touching, feeling, make sure it looks good, like being able to like actually I almost like want to compare that to like retail versus like online shopping, right? Some people just need to touch something in order to purchase it. What's that process like for jewelry?
Yeah, good question. So on Amazon, people buy not necessarily because it's the best price, but
Mhm.
because it's very convenient. And the difference with the jewelry online is that people buy because it's cheaper. It's not convenient. It's more convenient to go to a store, look at a ring, and but just buy it. With online, you have that risk kind of that you don't see, you don't feel it. The ring size might be wrong, and all of these things. So people mainly buy online jewelry because they can save a lot of money comparing to a retail store. That's the main reason why they would go and shop online, because you mainly you cut the middleman here. A store buys from a factory. Most of the stores, the big stores, big chains like K Jewelers, all of this, even them not always have their own manufacturing processes. Sometimes they just work with contractors and stuff like that. But basically, you have a middleman here. So that buying directly from a factory, whether it's online or a store, could save you a lot of money, and that's the main reason people basically shop online.
Interesting. So what took you away from this industry? Like you said, selling online. I was in this business. This is something you always wanted to do, but then you pivoted. You then sold different products on Amazon. And for people who don't know what you sell, obviously you don't have to disclose that. You pivoted to a different sort of like entrepreneurial journey in selling on Amazon. So what was that like process like for you?
Yeah. So like I said, it was very demanding. So because you deal with diamonds, you can't just trust anyone, and it's for the generations, it's being kept in families. Why? Because there is a trust issues. You can't just give someone an inventory of $5 million and expect, to sleep well at night. Maybe they just disappear. It's a small, items that could worth like hundreds of thousands each diamond. So there is the trust issue, and because of that, you can just leave the office. You just have to be there 24/7. Even to go to the bathroom, or just go to the deli, grab a coffee, it's just like a small nightmare, because you have to close, put everything in the safe. Like, it's very, very business that requires a lot of responsibility, and it's very demanding, and there's always problems when you're manufacturing. It's not like easy manufacturing. There's many processes to make a diamond jewelry. That starts from the 3D machines that we would print like the 3D models. From there, it would be a cleaning process, waxing, casting, dealing with metals, dealing with the polishers, with setters, with manufacturing people. And they're old school people, so they don't always understand, how things work now. So it was very demanding. And add to the fact that I worked with my brother, and I'm very dominant person. I like to do things in my way, and we had a lot of issues as far as who exactly, like, colliding. It's who is getting the decisions, and that, instead of being together and growing, it actually created these like stress. And we decided at the end of the day, it's just better for me to move on. And I did move on, and I think it was a great decision. Really, since I moved here to Florida, and that was exactly when I left the business, like 8 or 9 months ago, my life really changed. I feel like,
Wow,
I having
that was
much,
recent then.
yeah, there's
Oh,
like so
yeah,
much
go ahead.
control.
So this is kind of a silly question. Did you ever have like people who were trying to that you had to thwart, like thieves or anything? Like people trying to take you were handling these diamonds yourself, right? Like where you guys were touching and had inventory in hand. What was kind of you said that would cause like a lot of stress and anxiety for myself, but like how do you keep all that secure? Is it just safes, or like what's the process like for keeping like all that inventory
Good
locked
question.
up?
Yeah, so you have it's funny because it reminds me a story, like it happened all the time. So I was living in New Jersey, and it was like a complex of 3 buildings, and the office was in the middle. In the middle there was a commercial area, like a mall. So we would just literally go down with the elevator and start working. For my brother lived in Tower 3 and I was Tower 1, and it was really convenient because we kind of lived in the same complex. And because there, like, Q4 always crazy, like Amazon, I wouldn't sleep. Remember, like, starting 6 a.m. till like 12 or 1 a.m. at night, all day at the office. And a big part of it was to produce like 24/7 kind of. And there was the 3D printers. It took like 6 to 7 hours to print like a full build of rings or jewelry items. And it would sometimes finish like at 4 or 5 a.m. And in order to print more, you have to take out the build that was printed and just clean it,
Right.
put it back, and have the guy printed it again. And our guy was from Pakistan, that he would do the STLs, the design, and all of this. So he would tell me, Tomer, look, it's finished. Can you come down and clean the build? And I would go 5 a.m. in the morning, and then they would call me, the alarm company, because there are certain hours that if someone opened the office, they try to call you, and if there is no answer, they just call the police right away. So there was no reception, or I don't know what happened, and they couldn't reach me. And I'm like the office, like sleepy, and then I see like a team of like a squad team, like with the guns. What are you doing? Who are you?
Freeze! Everyone
Yeah,
on the ground.
freeze kind of, and like, who are you? Whoa! And I didn't go with my wallet because it's just downstairs. So give
Right.
me your ID, and I don't have ID. Like, what do you want? And there was a funny moment, but
Oh my gosh.
nothing really serious as far as thieves or someone trying to steal. But in this business, you hear these stories all the time. We had the colleague that every day FedEx or UPS would come to pick up the packages. So one time, thieves came with a FedEx uniform. They knock on the door like they're FedEx pickup, and
Yeah.
they rob them. So it's very dangerous and risky business. but you have all over these buttons, like emergency buttons and places that you can press, like the police will come. But uh thanks God that I never had any issues myself or
No
my.
kidding. Yeah, that and I want to give a couple of quick shout outs because people had some questions about our story. Because again, I told you about this show. It kind of like dovetails to learning more about this. But again, if you give us access, we'll see who this is. But Somerset's calling you their homie, also shouting out, saying you're the man. So appreciate whoever this is. But we just give us access, StreamYard access, and we'll be able to see who this is. But Lisa said good morning, and then I believe the same person who's watching, he said, you're the man, or he or she said, you're the man. Oh, it's Sharon. Look at that. Sharon Evans. So Sharon's just not watching on the personal channels. But anyways,
You're the queen.
so she wants, I think she wants to know the 3D printer. What was the printer printing? And that was my natural next question as well.
That's amazing thing. So back always to make a ring, it's called lost wax process. So let's say you have this ring, right? So you would have a mold, rubber mold usually back then, or you have steel mold for like crazy productions, but usually it will be like a rubber mold that you would inject wax through an injecting machine that would pour like a hot wax, and then it will stay in the mold. You let it cool for a couple of moments, and then you take it off, and then you have like the shape of a ring from a wax. From that, you can make it in any metal that you desire. So it depends on what the customer ordered. We would make it in 14 karat, white gold, yellow gold, rose gold, 18 karat, platinum. Depends what the customer ordered. So this process requires you to design a metal piece and a mold, which is a process that takes a lot of time, like 30 days, 40 days. You need a designer that really hammer it. These days, you can just do it in the computer in a CAD, design the ring, custom ring. You can put toner on the ring. You can make anything really. It's crazy, and just print it out in a 3D machine. It takes a couple of hours, and then you have the design instead of a process that takes 45 days with the crazy designers. So that really changed the industry. The 3D.
So yeah, you're probably then gonna see a lot more elaborate designs, a little more things that you couldn't individually craft by hand, correct?
Yes, the technology is amazing, and you can. I know people using it for manufacturing too. So let's say you want to make specific, item. Instead of making a mold that costs thousands of dollars, you can create a 3D model, whether that's in parts, because you can sometimes make it like 10 parts and just assemble it together, and then you have like a mold. So in case I would encounter an item that I need a mold for, definitely I would do it in a 3D. Now you don't need to hold a 3D machine because you have so many 3D printing houses. You just send them the CAD design, STL. It will cost you like $30 or $40 to print it out. So
Gotcha. Well, speaking of 3D printing, speaking of Sharon and Barkus and a couple other people in the space, I believe Amy Weiss was also on there. Also, all of them friends of the show. There's one other individual I'm missing on the name, but they had a awesome topic on their Seller Sessions podcast with Sharon, saying about 3D printing and how people are now creating molds and being able to do that all in their own home. So whether it's a product that they're creating themselves, it's all unique. You can do it in house. It's cost effective, and you can see if it's going to logistically work out. Before you go to production with it.
Yeah,
I find that super fascinating. Do you use that same kind of process that you took from when you were working with diamonds all the way to your own products now? Do you use any sort of?
I don't use it anymore.
Okay.
Like not anymore. I don't use it in my Amazon business because I didn't really encounter a time that I really need to make like a new design. I usually go for items that are already selling, and then just trying to improve them, like small improvements, nothing really like a makeover. But you're right with the cost effective, because when we started with the 3D printers 8 years ago, it was a small, called Envision Tech, the company, where a small machine would cost like $25 that have a printing area that is that small. And today you get like I forgot not Secret Lab, I forgot the brand, but you get this size of a tray and it costs like 4,000. And the printing hour, like it was taking 12 hours back then, and now it's like 3-4 hours. So technology really changed, and it's very cost effective these days. I agree. And back then it wasn't like that. It was really trouble.
Well, yeah, and I think that kind of really nicely segues into product. Kind of testing your product on Amazon for sellers, and Sharon again saying, 3D printing is the bomb. And then, of course, Tomer's a genius, and I really respect him. So we appreciate the kind words. I'm sure Tomer does too. So thanks, Sharon, for those nice words. But when people are, Amazon starts from somewhere, right? You have a great idea of product, or you did research tools, use like a helium 10, use a viral launch or something like that, and you find a niche that you might think, oh, this might be something I can get into. Testing your product or testing an idea yourself, if you want it to be unique, you have to start from somewhere. So where you specifically are you finding those quote diamonds in the rough? How are you finding these products to sell on Amazon to be successful? Like you said, you started Amazon a year or so ago and already being successful and seeing all these different sort of like opportunities afforded to you. What is that like for you? How did you do that process?
Yeah, so I look at it from very similar point of view to everyone else. Like these days, you can just come up with same similar items that are already selling. You have to come with your own version, improving it, giving value, to be able to really kind of market it in the right way. So my approach is not really changing, like I said, the whole item. So let's say we're selling a cup. So instead of just making a new design of a cup or making it like really unique, I like to really bundle it with some other items to create this value. And why? Because just bundling is very quick. You take the same item and you just add another item, and the sourcing process is very fast. And I'm all about speed and growing fast. So maybe if I had more time, I would improve it like more and make it. Yeah, I would look at the issues that the product have. Like if it's too thin, people complain, I will make it thicker, or more solid, more durable. But I don't really change the entire product. I like to improve it slightly and add value by adding bundles, and that's what I do. So I go for items that have demand, trying to improve them, adding value, making sure that I'm not really competing with like really good sellers, like that they know what they're doing already. And that worked for me. It worked with my first brand that now I'm really focusing on increasing profits, like profit mode, because we're going to sell it very soon. And the second brand that I created with toys, the same kind of concept. I find products, bundle them with some other complementary items or things that would add value, and come to the market. That's my approach. So very simple, very straightforward. I'm all about like doing things quick and fast and scaling it.
So how are you able to make those decisions quickly? Like research can take anywhere from a week or two to a couple of years. Some people just don't pull the trigger. Is it just like you're decisive? You're like, hey, this has all the right markers for everything I want in a product. It has the opportunity, and you're just going to figure out how to disseminate and make yourself different. What are like how do you equate speed in that process?
Yeah. Good question. So at first, it took me like a month to find my second product. The first one, I was failing. I was like losing the money. Most of the people at that point, they just quit. I was very close to quit, but something, told me not to. And I'm glad that it happened. And the second product, I really took it seriously. I invested like a month of product research and find a good one. Then the second one, it's much easier because you're used to know what to look at and how to look at things. And I think I'm really, really into productivity and being efficient in what I do. So I really tweaked my systems to be able to find products very fast. So I see this. It happened to me, and because it happened to me, I try to really analyze what I'm doing wrong, why it takes me so much time to find a product. And the way that I tweak the system is doing everything in time blocks. So first of all, I had like 3 criteria that I'm looking at. And if a product meets this criteria, I just throw it in a file, then just move on. Try to add as many products as I can to the pipeline, maybe 20, 30 products. And out of those 20, 30 products, then I will start to check the other criteria, other things we check. And I would do it in steps. And what usually happened, and that's how I started, I would find a product that I'm interested in. it would seems to me like a good item, and then I would start to check all the other things, whether I can the pricing is good, get quotes from Alibaba suppliers, check if it's patented, check if there is any uh, like how to improve it, do everything in one time for each product. So this took me really a long time. I would find myself spending 3-4 hours on a product and then realizing, oh, it's not a good item. So I realized that I would just have like 3 criteria, find as many products as I can, put them in the file, and then move on to get quotes. And do only that. Do one thing for all the products, get one quote, and then became much more productive and have so much higher chance of finding products that way. When you do divide it into blocks, doing each time one different task, so that's
So for people who are listening, and maybe I'll just like clarify this for people. You're talking about finding opportunities potentially for up to 30 products, and you're, instead of going down the path of like, hey, let me get a let me give it a quote for one product, and then look and see if I can be successful with one product. You're taking bulk and you're moving this boulder basically down each step process, so you can start picking off and peeling off different things as it doesn't pass these different sniff tests. But you're doing it in bulk, because once you get to the end of this funnel, theoretically, you have 4 or 5 products that you're going to be able to say, all right, look, we're already ready to go. You give me a quote, boom, we're off.
Yeah, you said it really well said, exactly like you described it. And that allowed me to be like to find products much faster.
I haven't heard of people talking about it in that context, almost like in a bulk, almost like bulk shopping, but this is more like bulk product source or like product ideation, which is really cool. I like that idea.
I see it with many people. They tell me, oh, I spend hours, I can't find product. And then describe me how you do the product research. What happened? Like tell me the process. And I see the same process that I did, and it just made me, and it discouraged you, because sometimes you work 3-4 hours, you think you find a winning product, you go to get the quotes, do all these checks, and then one thing fall, and you say, oh wow. And then you all the error that you have like blowing away, and you kind of have to start from fresh. But if you do it in blocks, you're very focused also, so you're in mode to find products that meet these 3 criteria. Your brain works much faster and much more focused, comparing to if you stop and then you come back to find more products. You get it?
Right. Yeah. It's a cycle that you can do it quicker, and instead of like restarting the process, you get discouraged, and you might miss something along the way. No matter, like, if you do the same thing over and over and over again, you might miss a step or might miss an opportunity. But if you do it all at once, you're really locked in and like, oh, this is cool. This is what's different. Throw it in the file, like you said. So you keep mentioning 3 criteria. What are these 3 criteria, so we can all understand like what passes a sniff test for Tomer David?
Yeah. So first of all, I checked that there is enough revenue. Second thing, I check that there are new sellers that can actually make money. So I don't really look and check if there are listings with 10,000 reviews and say, oh no, because there is a guy with 10,000 reviews, I'm not gonna get into this market. No, but
Sure.
I want to check if there are new sellers, new listings that have less than 200 reviews, for example, that actually makes money. That's give me a validation that if I come with a new offer, with a better offer, I will also be able to sell as well. So that give me a lot of confidence, knowing that, okay, uh, even with those listings that have tens of thousands of reviews, new listings that come into the market can make money too. So that's for me something that I really check. And the third thing I check if there is a main image opportunity. For me, main image opportunity, it's the way that the listings in the first or the search results, they look like. So I look at do I have a chance to stand out with my item? So that's what I call a main image opportunity. So if, for example, I see that everyone are using beautiful packaging and they lay out their items in a very nice way, and all the colors are different, and there's no really way for me to stand out, even if my product is good and the pricing is good and the value that I bring to the market is good, I just can't market it through my main image. For me, it's a no. I'm not saying it's a bad item. It's just, for me, I move on to a niche or a category or product that I can get into it much easier. So and for me, for example, if I see all these things, let's say you sell plastic cups and they all show only plastic cups, and it's white. For me, it's amazing. Why? Because I say with my main image opportunity, I would come with something different color, maybe like glowing
Multicolor, yeah.
or packaging, and it will stand out immediately. So that's are the three things that I check. And it's very easy to move on, and you can find a lot of products like that way because it's only three things. And then if not, it doesn't meet your criteria, you move on until you find something, and then
What's
you start to dig
so
deep.
what's your revenue threshold that has to meet that criteria? Like, what does it have to do?
So I look to see if obviously it depends on where you are at your journey in Amazon. So these days I'm trying to go for items that make at least 100K, but
Okay.
when I started it was 10K. So I would want to see like at least couple of sellers and listings that make at least 10K. But these days I'm trying to make sure at least couple of sellers making 100K. So there is enough room for me to grow and make
You can
revenue.
take some of that pie away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you could. So 10,000. That's monthly revenue at the end of the day that you're bringing home. Is that just Amazon revenue, or is that like net profit that you're looking at?
So 10,000 was back then. These days it's more 100K I want to go after. So I try to go after, listings that would make like 30, 40, 50, 100 around this range, up to an
Mhm.
100.
Okay. So when you're doing that, obviously you can look at keyword search. You have to start somewhere. You have to have an idea of what you're searching for, right? Amazon is now almost like Google. Like you can put anything in there and it can pop out something. Like yesterday, for example, my son broke this multi-color pin. Like it has 6 different colors in it. You push it down and it pops up one color. I didn't know what to call that, so I just put in a bunch of different phrasing and it popped up a ton of different results. So that to me is like I'm searching for something, but I don't know what I'm looking for. It's really hard
Yeah.
to like visualize what that phrasing would look like. To you, do you have that problem, or like how are you conceptualizing like what people might think for the product that you sell?
Yeah, very good question. I sometimes encounter this as well. There are some items that I'm looking for, and I just don't know how to describe them. And like you, like trying to change phrases and all of that. So when I see items that there is no clear keyword or phrase that it's very obvious that it's the item, I try to stay away from those items. Maybe
Okay.
it's good, maybe it's not, but that's my approach because I say why like confusing, like it's too risky for me. I prefer to go on something that is obvious. If you sell like a cell phone case, it's cell phone case or phone case, very clear on what is the main keyword. At the other end, I know people would look at it different. Some other people maybe say, oh, but it's opportunity because you have more keywords to rank for. But for me, I just prefer to go on things that are straightforward, not seasonal, not like complicated, and very straightforward.
I was gonna say, are there other facets like seasonal products or like
Yeah,
something that
electronics.
doesn't pass the sniff test for you?
This deeper digging, like if it's electronic or this, it's something that I don't even look at from at the beginning, because the return rate, obviously on electronics much higher. Many things could go wrong in the manufacturing process. The quality control that you have to do is much strict. So I try to avoid these items now, but definitely in the future I would want to get into electronics, because it's a very cool idea that you take something from zero maybe and you kind of create it with engineers and stuff like that. It's very interesting to me, but
Yeah.
as far as
There's
business,
always more risk with that. Yeah, like you said, like moving. Anytime there's a moving part or electronic board, you open yourself up to review scrutiny or problems with the goods and whatnot. There's a lot more steps I'm sure along the way. So interesting. That's exciting for you, I'm sure. What about so in terms of that process, where you doing like where's your inspiration coming from for products like people like Sharon? And I hear lots of great people who are very successful on Amazon who are saying like, hey, there's great inspiration that can come from like Pinterest or just like looking Facebook groups, things like that. Where's your inspiration coming from to problem solve and develop a product from the get-go?
yeah. So for me, it's a little different. Like I said, I'm all about speed. And yeah, if you go to Pinterest and Etsy or other marketplaces, you can get ton of ideas. But for me, it's a time-consuming process because I need to do like to go to Pinterest and then find if there is any volume on Amazon. So it's like double work for me. So I prefer to just stay on Amazon and look at numbers and look at data and look where the demand is.
Sure.
I'm not trying to create demand. So I'm going where the demand is. I don't take inspirations. I don't really have any personal feelings or attachment to any product. I don't really care what I sell. I sell everything from gun-related items to beauty and health products. So I don't have this attachment like maybe some people have, or I do it in a very like business-oriented, numbers and data driven way.
Absolutely. And what would you say to the people that, so what's the difference between you and someone who's passionate about that product and can kind of bring that like that brand voice internally to a certain like product or price or brand? Like, how do you differentiate yourself from, you said like you're not attached to these things. How do you build a brand voice in that capacity then?
So you can still build brand. I agree that someone that is passionate and know more about a niche or product could do a better job by creating this brand. But I feel that at this point in Amazon, people don't really pay a lot of attention to brand. Kind of, they're just looking for products, and they don't really care who is really standing behind it. They're not really checking the seller as a seller. They check the
Sure.
product used and the listing, but that's pretty much it. In the future, from selling your business point of view, it's really important to have a brand and related items. So with that, I think that you should always think about it when you create a new brand, that maybe at one point you will want to sell your business. Make sure that you launch related items. But that's why I think that there is not a lot of value yet if you only sell on Amazon, to really like understand everything about the niche or product, or really be passionate about. Of course it helps, because if you're passionate about something and you do it really with passion, you're gonna do much better work than if I don't care about what I do. For
Right.
me, what motivates me, it's really like making money.
Yeah, and I see your point of view, and I think it's definitely valid. I think we've had people on the show that has said both ends of the spectrum, right? They've said, value comes from someone being passionate, and you can really bring forth more ideation and really bring a voice to it. But you personally haven't seen any difference from you being passionate about a product versus like you selling the product, knowing the data, doing it well, and then again, you're about ready to exit a couple businesses. They haven't come to you and say, well, if you actually cared about this product, you would get $100,000 more. Like that doesn't happen. Like,
Exactly.
do you think that an aggregator will see that, or they'll just look strictly in your example or your own experience? They just look at data and that's it.
Not that's it, but I talked with maybe 7 or 8 aggregators in the last year, and they don't really look at it. They do look on the related items. So if you have like really random products that are not really related to each other, for them, yeah, it's a problem, because it's harder for them to scale and just manage everything. And if imagine that they buy like 100 businesses, and then they are open to thousands of niches and products. So they look at it from point of view of managing things. The more easier to manage, the less suppliers, the less kind of different niches that you have, it's easier for them to manage it and take over. So that's something they look at. But as far as like if the person is related to the brand, maybe it's a problem, because if they're buying your business and you are so connected to the brand, or maybe your face is behind it, then it's not good for them.
Do you think that's something that people walk away more from if there's an offer and they know that's that connected to a person? They can't replicate it. Therefore, it's not something that like there's something about replicating someone's hard work and effort. You can do that like to a point, but putting like passion and like emotion into something where like, hey, like my daughter came up with the concept of this, and like almost like the story element,
Definitely.
aggregators can't replicate that. So do you think they shy away from more products like that, or do
For
you think they
sure.
would?
For sure, because at the end of the day, they want to make something that they can scale. And if, for example, let's say I would say like a special tool to inspect diamonds, okay? And I created this because of my expertise. And for them to get this expertise, it will be very hard and time consuming. So they will look at it, is it easy to replicate? Anyone in our team can do it, or we need Tomer, you know? So definitely I think they will look at things not just in branding or passion or everything on how you created this business. They want to really know, is this something that we can replicate, create as well? And definitely they check it. Yeah.
That's awesome. I appreciate that insight as well. We actually did have a question from a friend of Francois over at Novaland. He asked a question for you personally, Tomer. How many units do you usually start with? Do you include major customizations to those products to test, or just go off the shelf?
Okay.
Is that, yeah, what does that make sense to you?
Yeah. So I did change my approach, and I still changing it because I like to test things. I don't just to like to, say, oh, I order 500 units. That's because of X, and don't test it out. Don't like really check whether it's true or not. So at the beginning, what I was doing is I would order 500 units, and then testing the market. And then if it was a good selling item, I would just order more. These days, and when I say back then, it was like 2 years ago. And these days I'm trying to order a higher amount, like 1,000, 1,500 at least, so I have enough inventory and not gonna get out of stock, because it's very hard to get back your rankings and positions if you're gonna be out of stock. And before it, for me, I didn't really suffer from this, but recently I see this like again and again. When you're out of stock, you lose so much money, and it's the difference between a winning product or profitable product or a product that you lose. And I have two examples from last year, products that I launched with the 500 units from day one. Really, day one I was profitable, and run out of stock, brought another 1,500 units, and the item is not selling. I'm losing. So what changed? Really, it's the algorithm that pushing you. And before it wasn't like that, but these days I really feel that you need to order more inventory. As far as customizations, yeah, I try to improve the product. Sometimes it will be very small products, and I just do the final version and go for it. Don't change it after. Like sometimes I would change it, but don't test if this is good and just and then add another layer of change. No, I just try to go and fix the issue before, and just go with that item. Of course, if I see like very bad reviews, sometimes I will just let this item go and just sell it out or
Just
lose on
let it
that.
die out.
Yeah, or sometimes if it's a product I believe in, we just create a new listing with improved version. So all the bad reviews will stay in the other listing. Just create a new listing, launch it again.
So, and I heard this, speaking of Francois had David Dion of Amazon Experts yesterday, and I'm curious on your take. He asked the question, or David posed the point of Amazon looks at inventory levels just as much as like good quality listings in terms of selling an FBA resources. Like if it's only one left or a couple left in stock, Amazon will not naturally elevate that listing higher or low. They'll actually push more listings with higher inventory, because that's, there's no threat of that going out of stock. So you, as a person who plays with lots of inventory sourcing and logistics and being that expert, what are your thoughts on that notion or that theory?
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic that I don't know anyone that really tested it and have enough data to really say it in confidence that it's true or not.
There's no proof, but there's a feeling.
There is a
There's a
feeling.
strong
I
feeling.
feel this too, and I like lean toward like agree with that. That if you have more inventory, Amazon Algo will push you more. It makes a lot of sense, and I think I see a trend where it's true. When you don't have a lot of inventory, they will not promote it. You're not gonna get a lot of impressions with your PPC campaigns. But it's nothing really that I can point and say with the confidence that it's true or not. But it makes a lot of sense.
Interesting. So what do you say is the minimum that people should start with? If you're a first time seller and you're giving people advice, how much inventory do you need to put in FBA warehousing
I
in
would say
order to be sufficient?
800, but it's a question that it's too general and broad, because every product would be different. If you launch a very competitive item, 800 won't really help you. You need
Right.
maybe 8,000. Or on the other end, if it's an expensive item that sells maybe 100 units a month, you don't want to order 800. So it really depends on what the market size is. Um, and based on that, you adjust your numbers.
Gotcha. Before we wrap up here at the top of the hour, about more like finding great opportunities on Amazon, what categories do you find the most opportunity for Amazon sellers that are going into private label? Where is that opportunity more often than not going to present itself? Is it home and garden, or is it, or like what are those categories that you see like the most opportunity providing, for you as a seller
Yeah,
personally?
I think that categories like tools and home improvement tools are categories that there is no a lot of innovation there, and it's easy for me to find opportunity.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you want to really like tech, obviously, it's very innovate environment. So it will be very hard to come up with great ideas. But if you go to niches that are like old school or things that, are not really advanced yet, I think you can find there are great opportunities because it's like really old companies. They don't really know. Usually they're being controlled by big old brands, and you as as a new seller, you can really innovate and come up with USPs that can beat them.
Awesome. Yeah, and I agree with you. I think like I think a lot of the older categories are really kind of coming back into like, so I say older categories where success was, it kind of takes off and it has like these waves of popularity, right? Like a lot of people and during lockdown, I think there was a lot of like home improvement projects. People were wanting to get like hands dirty, doing stuff around the house. So there was natural ability for people to say like, hey, I need these kinds of things, and that's where a lot of innovation is potentially going to happen. I know now it's getting warmer. I'm like doing projects every weekend. I'm like, I need this tool. Why don't I have it? And I look on Amazon. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like I would throw it on my wish list. I'm like, that would be cool to have in this kind of capacity again. So, but that being said, is there uh, both on that category level, but there's an article on Marketplace Pulse yesterday, which I always love to hear what they have to say. If you don't follow it, you definitely should. It's just marketplacepulse.com for people listening. They came out with the story on Amazon Business, and they show what Amazon Business is. It's kind of like the secret where you can buy in bulk, almost like Costco, but it's for businesses in like retail settings, or like having different kinds of if like you have a company of like 500 people and you need to buy like tables or things in bulk, like not just like soft goods, but like chairs or things like that in
Okay.
bulk, and you have higher order per company basically through there. Have you yourself looked into like selling on Amazon Business in terms of like bulk
Yeah.
selling online?
Yeah. So you can define a business price for your listings.
Right. Hmm.
All of my listings, I define this. And I think that I enable the business like selling for businesses. So I think it's something on the setting, but I don't really focus on that because
Okay.
my items are not really meant like for offices
Sure.
or things that people would buy in really bulk. So it really depends what you sell. If you sell like office supplies, definitely that should be like your focus. If you sell like everything that appeal to big brand companies that would need, like, for example, I think one of my friends, he would selling like office like a binders, and they like he got like order of like 300 in one day. So, and the thing is, it's not really paid right away, it's with invoice, so he was kind of hesitating to do it or not. But yeah, as far as
Yeah, it's a topic that I'm doing more research myself into because I think a lot of people, if they start to sell or they try to get into that, again, it's different with like the work at home environment. But like even myself, I find myself buying more in bulk because if I buy one off stuff, it's not cost effective. But if you buy more in bulk, naturally your order per order, like your value goes up if you're a seller. So I thought that was super fascinating to see both opportunity for a seller, but also as a consumer, what is that like kind of threshold in order to buy in bulk? What is it? Is it like 6 pins or is it 100 pins? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a quantity psychology in terms of like each product of how much is enough and how much is too much. So
yeah.
I didn't know if you had any insight or thoughts on that, but yeah, I loved what we had to talk about today. I would love to talk with you all day, but I know you have other businesses and things to do as well. What for people who are just have more questions about, you yourself or Sourcing Monster, like where can they find your channel, where can they, just learn more about you, or, you consult, but you're not taking on new clients, but if they want to talk with you, pick your brain, how can they find you?
Yeah, so through the YouTube channel, that's where I spend most of my time as far as like, social media. I really encourage people to ask me questions on, every video, and I reply to them personally. So that's how I communicate with them. As far as
Awesome.
like, really, like you said, like working with people and coaching people, I do one-on-one coaching, but since I'm busy with my two brands, it's something that I do really on the side with selected people. But, in the future, maybe I'll have more time for that when I.
That's awesome, man. And in 2021, what's your focus? Is it going to be growing YouTube?
One of the goals is growing YouTube, but my goal is to grow to 10,000 subscribers from 1,000. So I hope I can reach this goal.
Hey, let's get them there. Like, if you're watching this, go to Sourcing Monster on YouTube. Just search Sourcing Monster and make sure you're subscribing. We'll bump those numbers up a couple times,
Yeah,
because I know I personally subscribe. You have so much great content, lots of friends of the show that you're bringing on.
thank
Is that something that you've always naturally just been like, I'm going to interview people? You do a lot
you.
about just yourself too, but what was
Yeah.
kind of that progression like?
Yeah, so it's something new that I figured that because I have the YouTube channel, I can approach people and interview them. And to be honest, that's a way for me to learn more by interviewing people.
I
And
relate with you.
and and you have like a great bonus out of it that people can see it and get value out of it too. So you're killing like two birds with one stone here. And that's really something I started like just recently, that's the end of last year.
We
And
got one.
thank
Lisa, go in and subscribe. So we appreciate that, Lisa. I hope, Lisa, that you're also subscribed to Ping Pong Payments YouTube channel as well. You better be as well. But they have a great show as well. Lisa and actually Francois just started a podcast, Link Up.
oh,
I'm going to butcher the name, and I was actually just a guest on it. So Linked Up Leaders, I believe is what it's called. So they have a great channel as well. You should check out. But yeah, Tomer, fantastic stuff today. You're always doing great stuff in the space. I know you kind of cover everything, and you're also potentially going to exit your business. So I would say that's at your top of your list. Linked Up Leaders is what Lisa said. So I apologize, like everyone, go ahead and subscribe to Linked Up Leaders channel as well in the podcast. But yeah, congratulations on all the success. Obviously, just being at Amazon in the little amount of time that you have been, but also just continue to grow your business to success. I'm going to be watching you grow that. So that's exciting stuff. Congratulations.
thank you, and I will keep following you guys as well.
Please do. Yeah, please don't just like listen and then you're out. But yeah, we appreciate the support, and that just like we want to bring value to everyone who, the nuggets of information we can out of each guest. So we appreciate your time today. So thank you so much for hopping on. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and I hope to be here in the future.
Oh, you definitely will. Friend of the show now, Tomer David. Thanks again, Tomer. Again, for everyone who is, if this is your first time or this is your 76th time, again, this is Crossover Commerce. We go live almost every single day, 4 to 5 times per week. This week, I'm going live only 3 times because we have a really cool project going on tomorrow. Go ahead and subscribe to the Pingpong Payments YouTube channel. We're going to be doing a quick roundtable about selling on. Believe it or not, we're going to be talking about selling in Australia and New Zealand. So definitely. New Zealand for Amazon sellers all around the world. So I have a couple of exciting guests. Francois will be a guest, as well as a couple other service providers from around the world who are going to be talking about going into those marketplaces. It's going to be like a 4-part series. So definitely check out our YouTube page for that. That'll be posted later today. And then also on Friday, we'll be going live with Liz Downing from Taking Metrics. She'll be talking about building out brands. That's also posted. Follow us on the Crossover Commerce YouTube page, Facebook page. Just search Crossover Commerce with Ryan Cramer. Go ahead and subscribe to that and follow that to make sure that you get notified of future episodes. And then next week, packed full of more people coming on board. We're going to keep bringing you more amazing guests and industry leaders in the Amazon and e-commerce space. For Tomer David of Sourcing Monster, I'm Ryan Cramer with Pingpong Payments. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Crossover Commerce. Take care, everyone.